The pounding on the front door shattered the calm of a Saturday morning. Derek Coleman froze mid-step, coffee mug trembling in his hand. Outside, through the narrow blinds, two men in dark tactical vests stood on his porch, bold white letters reading Security, HOA Enforcement. But there was something off. Their uniforms didn't match, their belts looked improvised, and their badges were crooked. "Open the door," one shouted. "We have the authority to inspect your property for violations." Derek's brow furrowed. Authority? To enter his home? His wife, Elena, was still upstairs, probably folding laundry, humming like she always did when she was trying to relax. "Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're re-watching from. I love knowing who's listening." The taller of the two men banged again, harder this time. "Sir, if you don't open up, we'll come in by force." Derek stepped back, pulse quickening. He wasn't new to prejudice, not in this neighborhood. Since they'd moved in, the HOA had lost his paperwork 3 times, fined him for unapproved paint colors, and even questioned whether he really owned the house. But this was different. He called out through the door, voice steady. "You're not with the police. You have no right to enter." Silence, and the sound of boots scraping against the porch, one of them stepping closer. "Last warning, sir." Derek's stomach tightened. He didn't want trouble. He just wanted peace. But the way they stood, the way their hands hovered near their belts, it didn't feel like a home inspection. It felt like an ambush. He took a deep breath and turned toward the staircase. "Elena," he called softly, "you might want to come down here." She appeared seconds later, calm, collected, her dark hair tied back, wearing an old gray sweatshirt. At first glance, she looked like any suburban mom on her day off. But the moment her eyes met the men outside, something in her shifted. Her gaze sharpened. Her stance changed. "What's going on?" she asked quietly. "They say they're HOA enforcement," Derek said, uneasy. Elena's jaw tightened. "There's no such thing." Then came the crash. A boot hit the door. The latch splintered. Derek stumbled back. One of the men stepped halfway inside, shouting, "You're violating HOA property codes." He didn't finish. In a single motion, Elena drew the Glock she'd hidden behind the entry table. Her voice cut like glass. "Federal Marshal. Drop your weapons and step outside now." The room went still. The intruders froze, hands instinctively rising as her badge flashed in the light reel, gleaming heavy with authority. "You're a U.S. Marshal," she said coldly. "And you just broke into a federal officer's home." The taller man's face drained of color. The other turned to run, but Elena's command stopped him mid-step. "Don't even think about it." Within minutes, the real police arrived. The neighbors peeked from their porches, phones recording, whispering as blue and red lights flooded the cul-de-sac. The so-called HOA cops were handcuffed on the lawn, their fake badges scattered across the grass. Derek stood beside his wife, still stunned by how fast everything had happened. "Elena, who are these guys?" She shook her head. "Frauds, probably trying to intimidate homeowners, maybe worse." One of the real officers confirmed it moments later. The two men weren't HOA officials, not even licensed security guards. They were part of a small crew targeting black homeowners under the guise of neighborhood enforcement. The neighbors' whispers turned to outrage. Some murmured apologies to Derek and Elena. Others just stood silent, guilt heavy in their eyes. For too long, they'd looked away. As the handcuffed men were led to the squad cars, one sneered, "You think this changes anything?" Elena stepped forward, her voice steady but fierce. "It changes everything." The officer looked at her, impressed. "Ma'am, it's a good thing you kept calm." She smiled faintly. "I don't do panic." Later that evening, the street was quiet again. Porch light glowed warm against the cool air. Derek sat beside Elena on the steps, both sipping tea instead of coffee this time. The smell of rain lingered in the distance. He finally exhaled. "You never told me you were still on duty." Elena smiled, eyes soft now. "I didn't think I'd need to remind anyone around here." He laughed quietly. But his heart swelled with pride and something deeper. Gratitude. For her calm, her strength, her courage, when everything could have gone wrong. Down the street, one of the same neighbors who'd once filed noise complaints walked up hesitantly, held out a hand. "Hey man, I saw what happened. I'm sorry we didn't step in sooner." Derek took the handshake. "Just don't stay quiet next time." The man nodded. You have my word. Because courage isn't about who carries the gun, it's about who stands up when no one else will. That night, as the rain began to fall softly, Derek closed the door behind them. The house felt different now, safer, stronger, almost sacred. And outside, for the first time in months, the neighborhood slept without fear. Because justice doesn't hide behind a badge, real or fake. It stands tall, and it doesn't flinch. If you believe in standing up for what's right, no matter who's watching, make sure to subscribe. These stories remind us that courage still lives in ordinary homes, behind ordinary doors, waiting for the moment it's needed most.